Hi, welcome inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room. It's an exciting day for a special visitor that we have here, Smokey the Bear, who is turning 68 today. And today I have a special visitor to talk to us a little about why Smokey is here, Jeff Miller with the U.S. Forest Service. Welcome, Jeff, and thanks for coming.
Hey, thank you. I am so happy to be here and so proud of NASA and Joe and Smokey the Bear. It's just wonderful, and thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. So it's a little funny when you were sitting in this room and it's a hub of activity already, just with this team watching overseeing all the systems aboard the space station and the crew's activities, and in walks Smokey the Bear. So first of all, before we get into that, because I understand that we're in a partnership with the U.S. Forest Service and the Texas Forest Service, as well as, and then so Smokey's all a part of that. Before we get into that, we will talk about that and why Smokey is here. But I want to talk a little about you. How did you get involved with the U.S. Forest Service?
Well, my my background is been tied to the environmental education for the better part of my entire life,
Mhm.
and I live in Western North Carolina, Asheville, where we have a number of national forests in North Carolina. And so I've had exposure to the importance of our public lands and the work of the National Forest and the U.S. Forest Service. And so I always thought as a child um, that might be a great way to spend my life and dedicate my life to. And so uh, I came to the Forest Service from an early exposure to America's great outdoors through hiking and camping and fishing and boating. Um, and so I went to college and got a degree in biology and started a journey. And it all began in Alaska back in the early 90s. And in fact, that's where I am now with the Alaska region of the U.S. Forest Service. But, you know, the U.S. Forest Service is an agency of the Department of Agriculture. We have the responsibility to guide and provide stewardship to 193 million acres. We have approximately 155 national forests and grasslands from Puerto Rico to Alaska. And so we cover quite a distance. But I came to the U.S. Forest Service because it provides lots of benefits and services to the American people and its youth. And it's a great organization to work with. They have a wonderful mission about, you know, uh, serving people and caring for the land. And that's a really important thing to me. And so that's how I came to the U.S. Forest Service.
Well, welcome, and we're very glad to have you here. Now, I know you have another connection. There's the Forest Service and Smokey the Bear, but there's the Peace Corps connection, and it's not just the fact that Space Station, at its vantage point, has a unique opportunity to be able to view the Earth and be able to see things like, the disasters that wildfires and that sort of thing takes place. But there's actually a special connection that you have because we have one of the crew members, Joe Akaba, who is been at the space station since May, and you guys have developed a friendship. And so this is how all this partnership began, correct?
Yeah, that's right. You know, Joe and I go back about 20 years now. We both are still very altruistic. We believe in inspiring change and helping others. And so Joe and I, back in the early 90s, 94, we both uh, served in the U.S. Peace Corps in the Dominican Republic. And you know, that's a very intense experience, but a very beautiful experience as well. You know, the toughest job you'll ever love. And so through that intense experience, we have continued a really neat friendship. Um, and we've been able to do it and balance it again, you know, with all the complexities of life. And we've stayed close. And you know, Joe was an environmental education volunteer, and I was a watershed conservation, watershed restoration volunteer. And our programs were combined and bundled, and so we spent quite a bit of time together. But you know, at our heart and soul, you know, we both have a very strong ethic for conservation. You know, and Joe continued that after the Peace Corps, running a facility in the Bahamas, and then going on to become a middle school and high school science and math teacher. And I as well after the Peace Corps, I went to graduate school. I went back to work for the U.S. Forest Service, um, and and now, I am still with the Forest Service and providing stewardship to some of the treasured landscapes that we have.
And so his flight now aboard the International Space Station just seemed to provide the perfect opportunity for for this partnership. So tell me a little about how the partnership came about, and what is the partnership, and what are we doing?
Well, Joe and I, as I said, we've stayed close, and so being an astronaut is an intense business, and so in order for Joe to find an opportunity to kind of escape and find solitude, he has come up to Alaska on a number of occasions, and to go out on my boat to go do some fishing and go do some backcountry camping, and on one of his trips, I gave him a Smokey Bear hat, the red one that you just saw him wearing on the station in his happy birthday remarks. And he indicated to me that he was going to fly that. And that sort of created a conversation around all the things that are dear and important to both of us. And Joe's all about space exploration, but he's also all about this blue ball and the importance of the environment, the importance of its conservation. And so he actually proposed. I had given him a gift, a Smokey Bear doll, the doll that is up there with him, to fly it. Commander Gennady, the Russian Space Agency, I guess my understanding is the first time they've ever given an astronaut from the United States to propose their zero gravity indicator, their talisman. And Joe called me up and he says, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think that would be outstanding. I can't think of a better doll or a better message. Smokey Bear's message is only you can prevent wildfire. Um, but he's also a symbol to the world, not only about wildfire, but about the importance of conservation and the environment. And so Joe proposed it. I thought it was outstanding. The Russian Space Agency obviously supported it as well. And so we are just super excited and happy to have this experience together. And so that then has turned into a really neat partnership. And so the partnership is really about building the synergy, finding places in our relationship where we can move towards common results. NASA has an enormous amount of science and technology support that helps us in many of our programs, our fire program, our research program. The U.S. Forest Service has the largest forestry research organization in the world. We work in many countries through our international programs. And so the partnership is both about science and technology exchange. Joe's up there trying to understand, combustion and fire and microgravity, as well as he's providing satellite support with taking photos that are really important for our managers on the ground to understand how fires are moving. The fire plumes Mike Fossum talked about, when he was up there last year, and all the fires here in Texas. So it's a very important relationship that provides really important information and data to allow us to conserve and build a safe future. Allows us to protect people's homes, life, and Smokey's friends.
That's right. And so yesterday, and earlier this week, Akaba had been working with the combustion integrated rack. And while that deals more with fire suppression, which is not the same as prevention, it is just another example of how the laboratory is basically a platform to
Yeah.
bring technologies that can help us here
Yes.
on Earth.
Yes.
And I know he is an avid outdoorsman, and in
Yes.
fact, he is blogging from space. And he wanted to make a tie, and instead of the great outdoors, it is the great outer space.
Awesome.
So you can go and follow along his activities there and what he sends down to us on blogs.nasa.gov. And also, so this isn't the first time the U.S. Forest Service has actually partnered with NASA. Can you tell me a little about?
No, and in fact, our relationship goes way back. I mean, the work that we're doing it's almost sort of a recertification of a partnership that's been around for decades. In 1966, the Deschutes National Forest, Central Oregon, hosted 22 astronauts in preparation for the lunar landing and the lunar missions at Lava Lands. As well, Stuart Roosa, Apollo 14 mission, 1971. He was a smoke jumper with the U.S. Forest Service before he became a NASA astronaut. And when he flew on Apollo 14, he took up 500 seeds that were brought back down to Earth and have been planted all over the country. And there's a real story there. They're called the moon trees. And so those are just some sort of really sort of experiences in the past where we've worked, plus all the science and technology transfer that we do. For instance, right now, the Rocky Mountain Research Station has a scientist who's been invited to work with NASA on the Mars exploration program. He's an atmospheric scientist. And we're also doing some really neat things through through the outreach and communication with Smokey, both tied to Smokey's message, only you can prevent forest fires, but as well, we're working with NASA in their Skywatch program, where we've tied in our locations for a lot of our campgrounds and visitor centers so that the American people, the visiting public, to the public lands can look up at night and at a certain time see the ISS passing over on the
Tell
arc.
me a little about the Skywatch. So I think you actually used it recently and was able to see a pass
Yeah,
of the
I mean,
International Space
it is
Station.
absolutely. I just encourage everybody out there to go to NASA's Skywatch, and if you're going to go out camping, both in the public lands of the U.S. Forest Service as well as the National Park Service, you can look up the day and time when the ISS will be passing over your site, and you can have a Skywatch party and
Look up.
hang out with family, reconnect with your kids, talk about the universe, and dream.
Well, since you just saw it, describe for me what was that experience
Oh,
like?
it was really cool. And the
I
thing
mean,
that
this is recently when
this was
Akaba
yeah.
was here, so you're
It,
thinking that's my friend.
well, that was the thing. I just recently canoed the Yukon River. We did a 10-day
Okay.
expedition,
Yeah.
and not that I saw the ISS, but a lot of times, in the past, I had seen what I thought were shooting stars moving over. But unbeknownst to me, they were probably on some of those occasions was the ISS, and so we just recently saw the ISS travel, and so it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But some of the other stuff that we're doing together is we will have the Destination Station program that NASA
Mhm.
supports, Boston. So if you were to Google Destination Station Boston, Smokey Bear and Cosmo are going to get together, along with Forest Service scientists and NASA scientists. They're going to train like an astronaut.
Oh.
There's going to be some astronauts present at the Miles Standish State Forest just north of Boston, and that's going on now, a number of activities around Destination Station. And then, of course, we're here today celebrating Smokey's 68th
Yes.
birthday, which is the longest national campaign, longest running national campaign by
Very
the Ad
popular
Council,
because
and very popular.
I mean I knew it. I
Yeah.
remember that. So
Yeah.
we're very very happy to have you here today. And anything else you want to share with us? Also, I don't know if you've checked out. You mentioned canoeing the Yukon. We of course obviously like we mentioned the Earth observations is actually part of the research that is conducted, but it's also nice to look at the photos that come down
Yeah.
that Joe and the rest of his crew members are taking, and because they are quite beautiful to look at as well. But if you haven't, you need to go and check out the Yukon River because that's actually an interesting photo to look at.
I'll tell you, I will. And I think in closing, you know, get out there and enjoy those treasured landscapes, public lands everywhere. And it's America's great outdoors. And public lands provide lots of benefits to the American people. And if you're a biker, a fisherman, a hunter, it provides jobs to communities. Uh, and so I just want to encourage folks to take advantage of one of our country's greatest assets. As well, I want to encourage all of America's youth to dream. Um, I know Joe's an astronaut today because he's a dreamer, and he believed in something, and through that belief, he started to see it, and now he's doing it. And so, Joe and I and others, we all want to inspire change to improve lives. And so I encourage everybody to uh,
Do that.
do that.
Well, absolutely, it's a great message, and it's a pleasure having you here today with us today. Enjoy the rest of Smokey Bear's birthday. For folks out there who are out on Twitter and Facebook, you can send Smokey Bear a happy birthday wish if you like. I did it. You can go to Smokey__ Bear, and also you can follow along Joe Akaba's Twitter at Astro Akaba, and follow along that relationship as well. And remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Excellent.
Thank you. This is Mission Control Houston.